We're rating every manga that's not One Piece. Do I mean every manga in the literal sense? No. Because as far as I know, there are dozens and dozens of manga out there. There are literally 40 plus manga out there. There's 50, probably even, you might, I don't know, maybe 100 plus manga in existence. Who knows? The number is astronomically high. So I'm not going to rate hundreds of things. We're just going to do the basic shit because that's just what I know. Enough with the tier lists. More importantly, I can't make a tier list of all these other manga that aren't One Piece without so many people will get mad at me. I can't deal with it. Right now, if you go on Twitter, if you go on Reddit, etc., you see enough One Piece fans mad at me about Wano's results, blah, 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 blah. All right? I've got enough of a problem with the One Piece fan base after me. I don't need Hunter x Hunter fans angry because I didn't put Hunter x Hunter in the right tier. I didn't need Berserk fans angry because I didn't put Berserk in the right tier. I don't need JoJo's I don't need to turn all of these other fan bases against me, okay? I'm not exactly in a situation where I'm like, you know what? I've got the One Piece fans all angry at me. Why don't I see if I can go out and add some more people to this crowd? Let me see who else I can get in the mix here because I think I could be doing better. I think I could piss off those Naruto fans over there. I think those Bleach fans could stand to be riled up a little bit. That's not what's going through my head right now, all right? And I'm definitely not ranking One Piece in this hypothetical tier list because I don't even know. I think a lot of people are like, well, you got to put One Piece number one. For me, it depends what mood I'm in. If I've just read Enies Lobby or Marineford or something, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll put One Piece at number one. I'll give it its own tier. And I think everything else, I'll be like, fuck it. They're all in it. I'll put One Piece in S. Everything else, I don't even know. I probably wouldn't even bother doing the rest of the tier list. I'd just put it in tier that's like not One Piece and call it a day. Flip side, if I'm just reread the ending of Wano, I'm in a slightly different mood. In that case, you probably have to invent some other letter in the alphabet after Z for me to figure out what tier I want to put One Piece into. So, it depends on my mood where I would rank One Piece in general. Depends on the mood. I think that's a fair answer. Pros, cons. No, cons. All right. So that's what's happening. You guys like what you see? We're all okay with this, right? John says, are you about to spoil Berserk or is it a spoiler-free review? Spoiler-free. Spoiler-free. I'll pin that. There are no cons in Berserk, man, says Alfred Leth. I can give one big con right away. No longer being written by the same author. How about that? I feel like that's a fair con to say. Rest in peace, Miura. Absolutely tragic. I think we're past the statute of limitations or whatever over. I think we're past the point where we're not allowed to talk about this, but it's not being written by the same author anymore, right? Is this insensitive if I put that into cons? Is that insensitive? I view that as a compliment to Miura, that I'm saying that, hey, it's not written by the same author. Yeah, Miura dead. That's a con. So here's my thoughts on Berserk's return. So I think Berserk, like, the author that's taking over I'm a little suspicious because what he said, the author has basically said, Mori, his name is Mori, okay? One, red flag, his name sounds suspiciously like Miura. Miura Mori, I don't think that's a coincidence, in my opinion. I think it'd be kind of like if Mario passed away and it's like, who's going to save the Mushroom Kingdom now? And then this guy named Wario showed up. Just a little suspicious to me. So one aspect is that he's the only guy that can confirm that Miura shared his vision with him, all right? Because at least according to, it's just, we can take his word for it, and it sounds like he was a very, very, very close friend of Miura's. Very, very close friend of Miura's. But we are also having to take his word for it that Miura did share his vision and told him exactly how the story's going to go and everything like that. So that's my only thought. I would love it more so if there were like notes or documents or something like that assistants had laid out that show that everybody knows. Aztec Devices, Berserk Pro, incredible action sequence, agreed. Iconic character design, agreed. Some of the best character storytelling and development, agreed. I think that the current Band of Hawk, that, the new group that Guts is rolling with, basically, I don't think they're as well written as people think. I personally think that most of Miura's best character writing was in the first half of the series, so I think everything post-Conviction is not nearly as well written character-wise as people seem to think. Like, not even close. But because it's Berserk and it still has that sort of status, people are kind of just like, yeah, Shirky's an incredibly written character. It's like, Shirky? I don't know. Even Isidro? No. Farnius was really, really well written until Falcon of the Millennium. Like, Farnius till the end of Conviction, amazingly written character. Farney, I think most things post-Conviction, character-wise, not that impressive. But you're looking at the series as a whole, I think, yeah, Berserk, probably number one in terms of character writing. Pina says, Berserk, Golden Age is boring as hell. Here's one thing that I've discussed with other people, which is that it's a little different. Okay, so Berserk, I've tried to explain this to people, which is that Berserk is it's much more of a slow burn series than a lot of other series, in that there's very, very little momentum to most arcs, particularly the Golden Age. The Golden Age is not... Here's an example of an arc with momentum that you all might know of. Enies Lobby. Enies Lobby has a frantic sense of momentum, okay? Because there's a singular goal, which is get back Robin, and it's a snowball of events that keep pushing and pushing to, like, we have to get to this goal, and things, like, ramp up to get further and further, like, as we get closer and closer to that driving need. And it's like, then we're on train, we're rocketing towards this final goal, and then we're hitting this final battle, right? There's a snowball of events that are happening, right? Marineford, same thing to save Ace. It's ramping up. You're hearing the news. Then Luffy's traveling from there to Impel Down, then Impel Down to the Marineford, and then the big battle and everything like that. It's all ramping, snowballing. Berserk has one arc with that sense of momentum. And probably because of my shonen bias, just my natural subjective preferences, Conviction is my favorite arc. Golden Age, I think, is the better written arc. Arguably, many believe, and I would not question it at all, like the best arc in manga. It is not a momentum-based arc. It has very, very, very low momentum. The things that keep you going from chapter to chapter is just seeing how these character relationships, dynamics, etc. play out. But there is very little plot momentum. It's more so almost a menagerie or like series of scenes individually spaced out over long periods of time, where we're gradually building up this goal of, Griffith achieving his dream and things like that. And along the way, you're getting these individual scenes, these, I wouldn't say slices of life, but like episodes of what's happening with these characters, right? But there's very little momentum snowballing things in a certain direction, right? That really only happens towards the tail end of Golden Age. So when people say Golden Age is boring, I think that's what they mean, which is that Berserk, you could argue, does not have, for the most part, does not have a very momentum-based plot. I'm not even going to put that in cons, though, because that's like, there's so many series you could criticize for that when that's not really their goal. Pina says, I got Golden Age at 3 out of 10, Morji. Okay. For me, it's just like, why don't you just fucking give it a 1 out of 10 at that point? What's the 3 for? It's like an arc that most people consider to be, 10/11 out of 10 or whatever. You're coming in, you're like, actually, I've got it at 3. It's like, fuck it, just give it a 1. Just give it a 0. Like, what's the 3 for? What did you like? All right, we're moving on. All right, pros and cons. Pro, Nen. Sure, let's say that's a pro. Wait, this font is way too big. We got to move it down. All right, Nen. That's a good pro. Let's talk pros first. Cons, Leorio is boring. Hey, no. Leorio is like my top 5 favorite character. I love Leorio. Cons, too much text / dialogue in most recent arcs is dynamic. I'm not putting that in cons. I like... If I'm in the right mood to read some walls of text, then I'm totally down for this. I love the current Hunter x Hunter arc, and I agree that maybe a little too... I think sometimes it's not... Okay, so you can separate it in two things, right? Is too much text a bad thing? I think in the context of the current Hunter x Hunter arc, no. I like that we're in a setting where there's a lot of... You've got a lot of mysterious actors at the moment, all trying to figure out we're trying to figure out their motivations while they're also establishing their motivations, how they're thinking, what they're trying to figure out, etc. I'm okay with, in this context, there being a lot of text. That being said, does he go too far sometimes? Yes, sometimes it feels like you overdid it, and you never want to feel like that. But I personally, I love the current arc quite a bit, so I'm a big fan of pretty much everything that he's doing in the current arc. Awful Meta says, I can't remember any of the prince's names. Can't remember prince's names. I put that down because I realized we hadn't put down anything in a bit. Con is the art sometimes. Let's get some pros in. What do we like about Hunter x Hunter? Let's get some pros in. Landon Cross says doesn't pay off setups. Aren't we all One Piece fans here? Virgil Hawkins says pros the art sometimes. Look, I'll defend Hunter x Hunter's art as not being that bad, but I'm not that much of a dick writer that I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna fucking put its art in the prose section. Good lord. No. I've always said this about Hunter x Hunter, which is like, it bothered me so much when like Togashi's on this long hiatus because he's like, it like pain. I understand you're in physical pain. I understand he's in physical pain and everything like that. That makes it very difficult for him to sit up and draw. Just don't fucking draw. Like Togashi, like I've said this before, but is he under the impression that we're all like salivating over the prospect of the next clumsily sketched out doodle that he'll put out in the next chapter? Is he under the impression that we're all just so obsessed with him because we view him as like the Da Vinci of the modern era? What is he? Does he think that like we're just so enamored with his, line work and composition, and that's what makes Hunter x Hunter Hunter x Hunter? Fuck no. Just write it and let somebody else draw it. Let anyone else draw it. I feel like if you took like, I don't know, like if you pulled out of a hat some shonen manga authors that are in Jump right now, you could pull it out of a hat and just find somebody who could easily take up the task of drawing Hunter x Hunter for Togashi.